Hi everybody, Chad here again, another in the series. Today's a little bit of a tricky one. I'm just by myself and I wanted to talk a little bit about network quality. And what I mean specifically at this time is I want to talk specifically about our network quality team and kind of the actions that team takes, or the different kinds of actions that they take, why they may take them, and kind of how you can avoid hearing from them in a situation that you don't want to necessarily find yourself in. So it's meant to be a session where I educate you all a little bit more in more detail about kind of what we do and why we do it, and hopefully that'll give you some information that'll help you going forward. So, first of all, we do have a very active network quality team. It's actually where I started here on the EPN team 3.5 years ago. This was kind of my first foray into this space, and it's an interesting space for sure, but it's one that's very critical to the maintenance of the network, to ensure, like we've said in the past, that the best quality affiliates can receive the highest possible payouts, and that the eBay marketplaces can receive the best quality traffic that drives incremental demand to our sellers. I mean, at the end of the day, a negative action here, or a negative a team kind of centered around what is considered a generally negative topic, its entire purpose is to buoy the top end of the market, right? So we do have an active team, though. It's probably a little bit more active than most. The team has a variety of partnerships with other vendors. One of them I will call out is Click Forensics. We work very closely with to help us in certain areas where they'd probably do it better than we could. There are other partnerships we have that I don't really want to get into specifically, but our team works a combination of analytics, technology they use, and sort of manual effort, and then these partnerships that we leverage to do things that we can't necessarily do ourselves. It's sort of a combination of those four things that the team does to improve the quality of the network. But so that's part of it, is kind of just how they work. The second piece is I wanted to talk about what do they do. So when the team sees something that they think is suspicious or problematic, what's next, right? I think there's some perception that, or there has been in the past at least, some perception that the team sort of shoots first and asks questions second. And I want to dispel that, because I think we've taken great care in making sure that the team acts in sort of professional ways, and in ways that are careful, right, and that assume the best, and then ask questions to find out what's really maybe going on in a particular case. And only in the scenarios where questions aren't answered sort of to our satisfaction do we then take potential action against the publisher or the affiliate. So there's really four flavors of actions they take. The first one is what I said. They reach out to a publisher maybe and after they've seen a specific metric or an odd looking something, and they ask questions about that. And many of the subsequent actions that might come from after the questions are because they didn't get an answer. So if the NQ team comes to you, sort of one early tip is, if the NQ team asks you questions, there's a reason they're asking you those questions, and please try and be as responsive and forthcoming with the answers to those questions as you possibly can. We work to try and make sure that those questions that are even being asked are based on sound fundamentals as to why they would even ask you. We don't want to bother you just to bother you. But we do need to ask questions in certain cases, because it's important that we make sure that we have transparency into the kind of traffic we're getting. So the first action they would take is just sort of a questionnaire. If they don't get a response quickly, then they might move to a suspension. And in a suspension state, it's basically them putting you on hold. So we recommend that if you get put into suspension, and you should get a notice that says so, that you stop driving traffic, stop promoting us. We're not interested in you promoting us while you're not accruing earnings. That's not what we want. We'd rather you just pause whatever promotional campaigns you are doing while we work with you to investigate what's going on. And again, the more proactive you are in working with us, the sooner that we can get past the suspension and hopefully resume work together. The third sort of path that they may end up taking is an expiration and payout situation. So this one I think is important, because there are situations where we have expired or ended our relationship with publishers, but paid them out their pending earnings. And when that happens, what we're doing there, and the reason we've given, I think, in the past for why we would do that is we may send a message out or deem that the publisher is of what we consider to be low quality. And I think if we get a common response, or there's a perception that that means that their EPCs are low, right, in QCP. And the reality is that EPCs being low isn't by itself, or isn't even in entirety, it's the reason why we would consider you low quality. There's lots of factors that go into quality. Transparency is a factor, brand association is a factor. So there may just be a situation where we just don't think it's a good partnership. It's not about fraud or about anything around even the payout models. It's just, we don't think this partnership's going to work, and so we might actually do an expiration and pay the publisher out. And frankly, I think that's the right of any business to want to or not want to do business with another partner. And if the publisher doesn't want to work with EPN, they can choose not to, and EPN has the right to do the same. So that's one of the misconceptions around low quality, though, is that the EPCs are low, and that's not the entire reason. And then the last action that the NQ team might take is an expiration and reversal. In an expiration and reversal scenario, this is for blatant infringement of the terms. This is we would not reverse commissions unless we definitively and sort of pervasively felt like the publisher was violating our terms and conditions that we hope you all read. And we don't think that those earnings were warranted in the first place, so we would pull them back. So those are really the different grades of actions the team takes. But in each case, we do reviews, and we try and do as thorough a job as vetting the different actions that might be taken across a few different teams. And the actions are usually based, or should be always based in sort of analytics, data, evidence, things like that. So that's pretty much the overview of the team. I think at the end of the day, if you feel like you've interacted with the network quality team and it hasn't gone too well, there is an appeals process, and you can send a note to the eBay Partner Network Quality team at ebay.com. And I'm sorry, I read that out wrong. eBay Partner Network Quality at ebay.com. And hopefully they'll get back to you with a secondary decision. But I would say one thing, a reaction to a question from the network quality team that's very negative and threatening is not going to get you anywhere. We've had all kinds of efforts from various folks in the past to get around the normal channels that have been set up, and those actions don't get any additional consideration beyond the normal paths. So it's important you understand that threats and other things like it won't resonate. They're not. We're not going to respond to those. Lastly, I would say this has been working. The activity of the network quality team is dramatically down, and so what may have been going on in 2008 and 2009 when we first brought the program in-house, we have actually seen a dramatic reduction in cases. And it's not because we're not looking in the places we used to look, or as hard as the network quality team works as hard today as it ever did. And the fact is that we're just not finding nearly as many cases of problems. So that's a good news, right? So everything I've said up to this point in this session makes it sound like we have continued issues. The reality is we're doing a good job, and we've been doing a good job, and we think that the network has sort of improved dramatically in terms of quality, and that's a great sign for everybody. That's a great sign for my team. That's a great sign for you publishers out there who are sort of earning your money, and we hope that, and I think you saw recently, we've seen we were able to procure some extra money for Q4 promo, and I think a lot of that has to do with the faith and the quality of our network. So that's it for now. I don't have a stat of the day. It's not really the kind of topic I want to throw a stat of the day at, so I hope this helps clarify anything that you might have thought in the past that may not have been true. So have a good day. Thanks.